Hello Battle Cats players, my name is Chance and welcome to my guide. And my goodness, once the surprises start, they just don't stop. Today we're covering a pretty interesting cat, very similar actually to Chibi-Gayu, although kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum at the same time. Today we're going to be talking about Enforcer. This super rare cat can be gained by playing the rare cat capsules during the Princess Punt Sweets collaboration. And I gotta say, it's actually not that bad. It's probably one of the more entertaining and just satisfying units that I've tested in a very, very long time. Granted, until really this channel, I've been exclusively an English player, so I'm very familiar with all of the English versions of the units in the game. However, the Japanese exclusives are kind of constantly catching me off guard. Some of them that at a surface glance look really good tend to be kind of trashy, and some of them that look really weak end up being kind of good. Granted, some of them look weak and are weak, looking at you swordsman, but in this case, it's actually kind of the opposite. In any case, as always, it is my hope that through exploring really everything there is to know about Enforcer, you can become, well, firstly acquainted with the unit if you've never seen them before, and secondly, you know how to best use them and how best to invest into them, if at all. Let's first get started by taking a look at Enforcer's evolutions. Starting with Enforcer himself, his description reads, a character from the Princess Punt Sweets, a dream competition through collaboration, occasionally slows down black enemies' range attack, which is interesting. I think, yeah, it's area attack by the way, but the description says range attack, not too sure why. That involves into Enforcer 999, whose description is identical, and then after level 30 as well as some Catfruit and XP, it becomes Judgement, whose description reads, a character from the Princess Punt Sweets, the sound of the Judgement Bell calls forth the stake at the Scythe of Hell to attack. My goodness, that is not very well written in English. Translation can be a biatch. Occasionally slows down black enemies, range attack. Also, Judgement has got to be one of the most badass names in this game. Holy. Simple, sweet, and to the point. Now then, let's take a look at the overview for this unit. Firstly, it is a crowd controller, so it's meant to inflict status effects. In this case, slow. Under pros, you have good range, area attack, and decent cost. Under cons, you have long recharge time and slow movement speed. And other considerations, you have a 40% chance to slow black enemies and multi-hit while in true form. A couple things I would like to point out fairly quickly here is that the slow movement speed isn't always a bad thing for crowd control units, especially crowd control units with good range, simply because it gives your meat shields more opportunities to get ahead of them, and because of that just really helps them live a little bit longer, which can help with any health deficits. In addition to that, multi-hit isn't always a good thing, as the first hit can cause the enemy to be knocked back and thus having the second attack miss. However, multi-attack in collaboration with area attack heavily reduces that possibility from occurring, so in the case of Enforcer, it's actually not too bad. Certainly, it is more than worth it considering the increase in stats when true forming, but, that much goes without being said. Now then, let's move on and check out some gameplay as well as flesh out some strategy for this unit. As far as cost is concerned, Chapter 1, this unit will cost 500, Chapter 2, 750, and Chapter 3, 1000. Unfortunately, much like a pretty good amount of the collaboration units, this unit does get outclassed. So Enforcer in particular, really good when you first get him in the early game. However, as soon as you get like Gunslinger Cat, for example, this unit basically becomes irrelevant. However, if you don't have any anti-black crowd controllers, he is actually a suitable substitute for most stages. At the very least, it won't hurt to add him in there. Once you true form him, however, it's actually a little bit different. Because of the way his multi-hit / area attack works, his ordinarily 40% chance to slow becomes something closer to 65%, which is actually not too bad if you ignore the existence of Bomber, and since Bomber basically just dominates this niche, it's a little bit trickier to justify Judgment's existence unless you get him first. There might be a very small argument to be made of stacking both Bomber and Judgment on your team, but I would say that'd be overkill for most anti-black teams or lineups. But I don't know, I guess it depends what you're struggling with in any particular stage. Let me know what you guys think down beneath. As far as Catfruit, you're going to need to true form this unit. You're only going to need 3 purple fruit, which can be obtained every Tuesday, and 500,000 XP. Bear in mind, this is a super rare cat, so I think that's actually like incredibly fair to true form a unit. I would actually say that's incredibly cheap, but given the unit is outclassed by a few others, I don't know, might not make sense depending on what game you're in, or what point of the game you're in rather. Let me know what you think down beneath, of course. Now, since there's no real trivia for this cat, I just want to take a moment, similar to Chippy Gayu, and just point out the attention to detail that was put into this cat's animations. Like, that is a large part of the reason why I found this cat so satisfying to test, is it has some of the more interesting and, well, seemingly impactful attack animations really in the game. I would almost put their, like, noticeability, for lack of a better term, on par with either, like, Delinquent Cat or even Filibuster Cat. They're just kind of cool to look at, kind of cool to watch. It's obvious when he's attacking because of that kind of pinkish, purplish glow that comes out. It just looks sweet. And granted, in a lot of testing, I was using really just a super boosted version of Enforcer on the field with no other cats or units. But still, like, it felt really, really good. I would make an argument that this cat feels, or this unit rather, I guess technically, looks and feels a hell of a lot better than a lot of the Ubers and even just the more recent units that have been added into the game. So whoever designed Enforcer, like, hats off to you, man. It looks great, feels great to play, and more importantly, you can't help but notice him on the battlefield. And that really is a valid and kind of under-discussed criticism for a lot of cats in this game. Their effect just isn't really that noticeable more often than not, and they tend to just fade into the stack itself, and that's really about it. There are, of course, a few notable exceptions, but a lot of them are either completely based around the meta or not at all. And Enforcer is kind of in one of those weird areas where if you have access to him, you can kind of justify using him in placement of some of the more meta-driven cats. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think down beneath in the comment section. And that really is all there is to say about Enforcer, at least until this point. I would like to see him added into the main game, just because, I don't know, like, using him on easier stages would be kind of satisfying. But I think that may or may not be just a me thing, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down beneath in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe for Cat God's Blessing. And we have, I think, one more of the Princess Punt units to discuss. And then we're, like, more or less back to our regular scheduled programming. But, I don't know, I'll just keep going in order, I suppose. And, of course, I'll be talking to you all very soon.